Everybody is so bored with the crypto market right now and on the verge of giving up, expecting September to be a bearish month, and considering their altcoins are already down so much, they just can't bear it anymore. In fact, I saw a message from one of my very own members yesterday saying that he is on the verge of giving up and enjoying his life surfing instead. So this video is especially dedicated to you, my friend. In this video, what I am going to be discussing with you is why you should be super bullish on the crypto market right now. And the last thing you should be doing is giving up. There is always a calm before the storm, and this is the calm. And whilst it's boring the life out of us, I have some data to show you that is going to prove to you that giving up right now is possibly the worst decision anyone could make. So that's what we're going to get into in this video. If you are new here, welcome. If you are returning, welcome back. I am Annie, and this is Trade Travel Chill. Be sure to hit that like button nice and early and hit subscribe if you're not already subscribed. Let's get into the details. Starting with the crypto fear and greed index, we're currently sitting around 26 in the fear area of this index. And this is due to so many people doing content around September being historically very bearish. People are scared right now about how much lower the price can go. And what we need to know as long-term investors is that the gains are made when you have the guts to buy during fear. When we have a look at the Bitcoin sentiment across social media, we can see as well that most of the posts are actually bearish. The score coming in here at 0.185. So the closer we are to that zero level, the more bearish everybody is. And again, this just provides opportunity. I'm going to show you later on in this video why this September might actually turn out to be different this time, so be sure to stay with me till the end. When we have a look at the historical performance for Bitcoin, we can see why everybody is expecting September to be bearish. On average, Bitcoin has given us a minus 4% decline in most Septembers. Now, there have been some bullish Septembers, but for the most part, they're quite bearish. But here's the thing about the monthly close. Price in a month could do something like this and then have a bit of a turnaround and end up closing like this, meaning that the close of that month ended up being just a little bit lower than the open, but the actual whole month could have been bullish for most of it. So don't get too caught up. Nothing moves in a straight line down and nothing moves in a straight line up. So don't expect that the whole of September must be down. There is a good chance that most of September could end up just tracking sideways. And when it does that, especially if it tracks sideways in a big range, it's actually an amazing opportunity for day traders. So whilst this historically shows us that September is usually bearish, there can be some upside in between before the month actually closes out. And when we really break down the percentage closes, some of them are really nothing to worry about. If we closed out at a minus 3% like we did in 2022, that's not going to break the bank. Even here at 5%, 1.76%, even at minus 7%, when you're in crypto, 7% down doesn't break the bank. So yes, while September is historically a bad month, it's not a guarantee that it's always going to be a bad month. And a bad month doesn't necessarily mean complete chaos, absolute wipeout. We're going much, much lower. And I will talk about price targets, both to the downside as well as to the upside in this video. So be sure to stay with me for that. Now, I think the one thing that is really worrying people right now is that if Bitcoin does continue down to lower prices and Bitcoin's dominance continues heading up, that their altcoins are going to bleed out even further. And whilst that is true, it really is just testament to the fact that having a portfolio that is heavy in Bitcoin right now is what is going to save you from altcoins that are further bleeding out. Right now, the Bitcoin dominance is not showing any sign of a pullback. And I know that everybody is waiting for that because when the Bitcoin dominance starts to pull back, that is when we tend to see alt season. There aren't any signs of that right now. And we are approaching the 60% level, which is where most people are expecting that pullback to happen. But we're not there yet. And it could take another few months before we actually do get there. That is why even if you don't want to hold Bitcoin because you don't think it's going to give you the multiple that you want, being Bitcoin heavy in this part of the cycle is going to save any mistakes that you're currently making in your altcoins. Because the biggest tragedy for altcoins is when the Bitcoin dominance is up, but the Bitcoin price is down. That is when your altcoins dump even harder. And if you are in that situation, I'm actually going to show you something that you can do very quickly that will actually hedge against your losses so that you don't actually have to sell out of your altcoins, but you can use and leverage the Bitcoin price to help balance out your portfolio and get you more to a neutral level so that you don't have to worry so much, so that when the alt season does eventually kick in, you can either rotate your Bitcoin into altcoins at the right point in the cycle, or you can cash that out and put more of that money into your altcoins that might be down right now. Now, in order to do this, you're going to need an exchange that offers something called coin futures trading. So we are going to be using leverage, but we're going to be using very low leverage. On Bitget, you can see it here, Coin M Futures. And you can see that they have a few different options here under perpetual, but we want to be going to delivery. Delivery has an expiry date, and the date is at the end of the ticker here. So 0927 means that this particular contract expires on the 27th of September. So you want to choose the contract as far out as possible. This one here is the 27th of December. You want to find a contract like that. What this means is that you can open long and short positions on this contract using Bitcoin. And in this example here, you would be using Ethereum, but Bitcoin price is a little bit more predictable, and Ethereum, we don't know if that's in a bull market or a bear market right now. It seems to be struggling a lot. So use this for Bitcoin because it's more predictable. And when you use this contract, it means that you can hold this trade open until the 27th of December, or you can trade back and forth until this date, and there are no 8-hour funding fees. But in addition to that, you're using Bitcoin as your collateral. So when you get your profit is getting realized in Bitcoin. So especially when Bitcoin starts to bounce, when it finally creates its final low and it bounces, by opening a coin futures position, you get to double up on the profit that you're going to make as opposed to just holding that Bitcoin spot. And by doubling up on that, it's going to help to reduce the overall losses of your altcoins because it's going to help to balance out your overall portfolio. And this is why, even if you are just an altcoin maxi and you don't believe in Bitcoin, it is worth owning Bitcoin to be able to leverage it like this to save you from any bad altcoin decisions that you might be in right now. Now, if you are wanting to join Bitget, there is a link in the description of this video, and it gets you a 20% trading fee rebate for life. And that is also another thing that is going to save you on your trading fees that can definitely add up over time. Bitget has a lot of other amazing features. There's spot trading, futures trading, copy trading, bots, earn features. They have a ton of stuff. And in addition to the 20% trading fee rebate, by using the link in the description down below, you can also claim a welcome pack of up to 6,200 USDT. So whilst we can confirm that it is not actually alt season yet, and this is probably why if you are altcoin heavy in your portfolio, you're probably feeling more pain than those that have remained Bitcoin heavy simply because the Bitcoin dominance is up, then know that we still have a while to go with this Bitcoin dominance. I personally don't expect to see any sort of a pullback in this until more towards the end of this year. But there's two ways that you play this. If you are cash heavy and you are able to take bigger risks, you know that as we're getting a little bit closer, you can slowly start to dollar cost average into altcoins. But if you already have a portfolio that is altcoin heavy and you don't have much cash left over, you need to be very, very careful right now. And you need to be doing whatever you can to save the losses or reduce those losses as much as possible. And doing it with the coin futures strategy that I told you and using Bitcoin to do it is going to be the best way for you to overall balance that out to a net zero loss. We can see here that right now it is absolutely very much Bitcoin season. So it does not make sense to be going heavy into altcoins. In addition to that, I don't personally think that this cycle is going to be similar to the past cycles when it comes to alt season in any way, shape or form. But that is going to take a whole other video. So if you want to know my thoughts on alt season, be sure to leave me a comment down below and I will do a video on that. But this cycle, in my opinion, is going to be very different from past cycles. And I have many reasons to believe so. And I have been in a number of cycles now. And I can tell you that this is the cycle, even though I've always been a Bitcoin maxi, I've always loved and believed in Bitcoin. This cycle is the cycle that I'm I'm heavier in Bitcoin than I've ever been before. And that alone should tell you something. It doesn't mean I don't own altcoins or I'm not planning to build an altcoin portfolio. I absolutely am. But I have very strong reasons as to why I don't think it's going to be an easy alt season like it has been before. And I will definitely put out a warning about that soon. I mean, let's just have a look at the top 50 performance over the last 90 days. Almost everything is bearish against Bitcoin. Right now we're in Tron season. How long that lasts, time will tell, but it seems to be just one thing shifting to another, and the safety right now is in Bitcoin. Let's have a look at what the whales are doing. Now, this post shows that whilst retail traders are feeling let down right now, Bitcoin whales are actually growing in numbers. There is a net gain of 283 wallets holding at least 100 BTC, and this has emerged in just 1 month. In addition to that, there has been a decline in overall whale activity, and whilst that might sound scary, it's actually not bad at all, because what it means is that if the wallet sizes were growing and now there's a decline, it means they're doing nothing. They're not selling, but they're not buying. They're maybe done with their accumulation and now they're just waiting for the breakout. So if that's the case, we should be doing the same thing. In addition to that, the influx of BTC from Germany, Mt. Gox and DOJ is slowly being absorbed. This is from Willy Woo. And this is also actually a good sign because it means overall in terms of supply, things have moved from bearish towards neutral. So what should follow that then is bullish. Now, when we take all of that into consideration and then we have a look at the Bitcoin price on a higher time frame, we're looking at the daily here. And if you have been watching my videos, then you will know that I've pointed out this flag formation, the breakdown, the retest, which looks like that's what happened yesterday, and the potential for Bitcoin to come back down into the liquidity zone between about 52.7 to 57.100. And if we break below that, there is another level between 46.400 to about 49.300. And this might seem really bearish. There are a lot of creators right now pointing out the bearish market structure, which makes sense because that is what is happening. But I believe that there is something that a lot of creators are missing that is actually extremely bullish for Bitcoin eventually. And that is a different retail pattern. So when I take away this flag, I'm going to replace it with this pattern instead. And this pattern right here, if you've never seen it, is called a descending broadening wedge. A descending broadening wedge is actually a bullish pattern. It is said to be a reversal pattern and is formed by two diverging bullish lines. A line is said to be valid if the price touches support or resistance at least 3 times. So when we have a look at this, we have definitely ticked the box on that with multiple touches to the resistance as well as the support. A descending broadening wedge does not mark the exhaustion of the sellers, but the buyer's ambition to take control. Now, the target for a descending broadening wedge can be two. The initial target can be to the highest point of the broadening wedge. But in case number 2, where you have a descending broadening wedge after a peak, which is what we have because this has formed at Bitcoin's current all-time high, then the price objective comes from the highest point to the lowest point of the wedge. We don't know if the lowest point of the wedge has formed yet, and that is something we're going to only be able to measure once it breaks out. But let's just pretend, for the sake of creating a target for this video, let's just say that this peak down here, when we came down to 49K, that's going to be the lowest we get. If that is the case, then we draw a straight line from the bottom of that to the top of this peak straight up right here. And we would measure that from the breakout, which again, we don't know where that is going to be yet. So this is just an estimation. And so once Bitcoin does break out of this, the first target is going to be the range top back at about 74,000. And the second target would end up being somewhere around the 93K mark. In addition to all of that, let's have a look at the monthly close for August for Bitcoin, because this is what I meant when I said September has the potential to be different this time, and it comes from the August close. Now, we know